What's up, y'all? I know it's been a minute since we looked at some Tomb Raider content. We gonna get straight into this video. Hold up. My bike is out here twerking. My bike is trying to throw it back. My bike is out here twerking like a washing machine. By the way, this video will have spoilers. Physics just don't apply to you anymore, do they? So I finally finished Tomb Raider Underworld, and there was something about this game that really impressed me. The element of this game that really impressed me was the game's AI. For a game that came out in 2008, Tomb Raider's Underworld's AI is kind of ahead of its time. A lot of the game's impressive AI can be seen when you're platforming. When Lara platforms in Tomb Raider Underworld, you can actually see when she scales walls that Lara actually looks, then places her hand somewhere they can actually go. In games like Assassin's Creed 2, when Ezio climbs, he just reaches his arms and puts them wherever. He doesn't even actually look to see where they can go. And that game actually came out a year after Tomb Raider Underworld. When you swing from one bar to another bar, you can actually see Lara bites her lip as a sign of focus. Even when you put Lara into her idle animations, you can see her eyes race and actually look at things. As time goes on, you actually see her eyebrows drop and her face makes a more focused look. Even when you're fighting small spiders, you actually see Lara look at each spider and step directly in that spider's direction right on top of it. The game's AI and its animations makes Lara very lifelike in this game. Even when you're swimming and you change directions, you use real technique. And it's just on point. Tomb Raider Underworld is very smooth. It's like creamer inside of coffee. It takes most of Legend's combat mechanics and it expands upon it. And it translates just so smooth. If I can compare the combat in Tomb Raider Underworld to two other games, they would be Enter the Matrix and Matrix Path of Neo. Two games that were ahead of their time. Both of those games have a fluid transition between hand-to-hand combat and gunplay, and that's something that Tomb Raider Underworld definitely has. Man, this game lets me Bruce Lee kick people, and I get to freaking stomp people out too. Definitely like hitting people with the kicks. It seems like every enemy encounter I get in this game, I find myself trying to style on people, trying to look nice with it, trying to get them sauce points. I definitely like the adrenaline mechanic where you get to click it and then you get to enter slow motion, so you can pull off some very cool looking stuff with that too. Of course, we have the ability that lets you run off of somebody, and then when you hit your shot, it one hits them. That's a nice, cool looking ability too. The big bad weapon in this game is Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. I can't lie though, you be smacking the mess out of some of the human soldiers with that hammer in this game. Bruh, that man is going. It's a little disappointing because it's pretty much the same thing as the sword you got in Tomb Raider Legend, but it does have an area of effect attack, something that the sword in Tomb Raider Legend didn't have. You definitely experiment with all your abilities and weapons in this game, and I like how some of the weapons create different playstyles in this game. You can run around with the tranquilizer gun and put people to sleep type stuff like you play in Splinter Cell. Without a doubt though, Tomb Raider Underworld's combat was definitely the funnest combat in any Tomb Raider game I played thus far. These mechanics definitely need to come back into the series. I definitely like how the game offers what weapon do you want to start each level off with, as well as a different outfit. What outfit do you guys think a nigga's really about to choose? Look at them legs though.
When the cake's in, when the cake's in, when the cake's in.
Let's talk about the type of enemies in this game. Look at the undead Viking and his natural habitat. Enemies in this game are usually animal based. They usually either bite at you, slash at you, try to pound you, or shoot stuff at you. And then you get your humanoid enemies like the armed mercenaries, or you get the undead Vikings. I would have liked to seen more enemy variation and especially attack variation in this game. Some of the Vikings do have different attack patterns, but it's nothing too significantly different. Like, I want someone to try to three-piece me. One thing that really disappoints me about this game is this game has 0 boss fights. Tomb Raider Legend and Tomb Raider Anniversary both had boss fights. So why does the game with the most fluid and best combat mechanics not have boss fights?
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
This game introduced Shadow Lara, and she put up on Lara and she beat her ass. And we got no boss fight with that. That's a criminally missed opportunity. They expand upon the platforming from Tomb Raider Legend, and there's a couple of new things that you can do in this game when it comes to platforming. such as taking the sticks out the wall, climbing directly right on top of the sticks or poles, flipping directly on top of narrow surfaces, and a new animation when you change directions when you flip from pole to pole. Wow, aren't you a platinum gymnast? They also put that mechanic where you have to balance yourself when you walk on narrow surfaces into the game, which I think is an unneeded mechanic in games. So the platforming is good, it definitely has nice animations. It's classic platforming, nothing amazing, but it's still good. Alright, now let me start talking about what I dislike about this game. The thing I hate most about this game is how long it takes you to figure out what to do. This game makes you do all this wondering, literally for no reason, just to waste your time. This game is literally trying to Tomb Raider anniversary me, and if you want to know how I feel about that game, then you can go watch my video on that game. You'll be wandering around trying to figure out what item do I need to grab. You start platforming, you make some progress, you try to jump on something that you can't jump to, and you die. Rinse and repeat. Run around the area for an hour, don't know what to do still, man, I gotta look at a walkthrough. Bruh, there is nothing fun about looking at a walkthrough, mimicking somebody else's actions, not creating my own experience. It's like being a bot receiving programming. It's Perspective 059 receiving programming. Bruh, that is so corny. And the game consecutively does this too. When you look at the comments in the walkthroughs, you see people talk about they couldn't have beat the game without a walkthrough, they've been stuck on a level for years, and how bad a level is. If you're wondering what level they were talking about specifically, they were talking about the southern Mexico level. These comments are actually very relatable, and I don't think a well-ly articulated game will have comments that sound like these, and a lot of them too, and a whole bunch of people looking at a walkthrough. After you do all that wandering around to figure out what to do, the game has the nerve to give a puzzle right in your face. Like, ain't nobody trying to do a puzzle after they just spent all that time trying to figure out what to do. But to be fair though, the puzzles in this game aren't really bad. They're pretty solvable without looking them up. But I will say sometimes this game gives you things to do that you will not have any idea on what to do. Check this out. Who would have ever thought that you would use your zip line and wrap it around a whole rock to make it twirl? You don't do that in any other part of the game. Another thing I hate about this game is it doesn't even tell you when you open a door and you have to go to it that you're on a timer. Like, I pull up on the door and the game's just like, fuck you. Check this out, y'all. There was no way I was getting through that door in time. The game's combat mechanics were just so smooth and nice, but the game doesn't even give you a lot of chances to like actually engage in combat. The combat is like that, but they did take away you using your zipline to yank people and to grab them towards you, and then they took away the ability to slide into somebody. Both abilities which were present in Legend. This game actually has game-breaking glitches, but I didn't encounter any of that, so I can't speak on that. I manually saved a lot to avoid all those glitches. I think for a game that's AI was ahead of its time, you do encounter some bugs, and the bugs are actually pretty funny and entertaining. So my man's is only gonna have his face spawned in, but not the rest of them? Okay. Laura, are you gonna decide which way you're gonna grab the box? Thanks, B. There are a couple of times where you die to dumb stuff like, Laura, you definitely could have survived that drop. Now you're just being dramatic. So the question is, would I recommend this game to someone who wanted to play a Tomb Raider game, who's never played one? Absolutely not. I would recommend Tomb Raider Legend. If somebody wanted to venture into Tomb Raider and they already knew what they were getting themselves into, sure, why not? Go ahead and play the game. You're gonna be looking at walkthroughs though. When it comes to the Legend timeline, the only game I would recommend is Tomb Raider Legend. That game is tiers above Underworld, especially Anniversary. To make Underworld better, all they really had to do was follow the same formula they did for Legend with the game's updated AI, combat mechanics, and animations, and the game would have simply been better than Tomb Raider Legend. They decided to take the route more like Tomb Raider Anniversary and try to make you wander around and do puzzles way more. They could have took that route if they made the platforming actually more fun and exciting, but they gotta take out that wandering around for hours in each and every level stuff out the game. Don't get it twisted though, I definitely prefer Underworld over Anniversary by far. So that's pretty much my review of Tomb Raider Underworld. You are more than welcome to drop a comment. Next video will be the character analysis for this game. feel free to check out the rest of the Tomb Raider content on my channel and its perspective here. And you guys already know what I'm about to say. Vibe out.